Listen to me carefully. If you're going to skip this video all the way to the end and not listen to what I have to say, especially in the beginning, you're going to be really confused. You're going to be really angry. So pay attention to what I say in the introduction before you go ahead and skip to the end and watch the end. Today in Grow a Garden in Roblox, I'm going to give you the most updated version, the most updated list of pet values that I can. If this sounds interesting to you, go ahead and hit the red subscribe button. Become part of the first 200k OGs on the channel, because soon you won't be able to. You'll be stuck being a 300k OG. And let's get into the video. So we have our pet values, and I've had to move the list around a lot because a lot has changed recently. For those of you that don't know, there were some exploits, some very strong and powerful exploits, using the Nihon with hungry pets to allow you to stack pets' abilities up to insane percentages. And those pets are the seal and the koi. And using the seal and the koi, people were able to get back more eggs than they hatched, making an infinite loop of more and more eggs. And then on top of that, using the Nihon, they were able to hatch eggs way faster than you're supposed to. I'm talking about taking a 4-hour egg and hatching it in mere minutes. So what's happened is people, nefarious people, were buying up any pet of any old egg in order to sell them with seals, get more eggs back, and try to hatch the rare ones in those eggs. For example, people were buying out dinosaurs to hatch more Spinos and more T-Rexes. People were buying out night egg things to get more raccoons, etc., etc., etc. So what has happened is that all of the rare versions of the pets in those eggs have massively decreased in value, and a weird situation has occurred where it's harder to acquire an Ankylosaurus than it is a T-Rex. It's harder to acquire a Parasaurolophus than it is a Spinosaurus, because people were buying up the little dinos to try and hatch the big dinos. So now the list is out of whack, and it's really awkward. As such, when you see me place certain creatures in certain categories in this tier list, you're going to be confused. But I take all of my values off of the internet. I use internet values, and I'm adding emphasis to the word internet because I can't talk about where I find my values from because terms of service. However, these values are accurate as of the making of this video, and I'm just going to give them to you. I'm just going to hand the values to you, and you're going to look at the values, and you're going to disagree, and you're going to get mad. How can blah, blah, blah be worth this when blah, blah, blah is worth that? I don't care. I'm sorry. I'm giving you the information I have, and you get to decide what to do with it. And before we get into the list, I am currently in the market for a Titanic peacock, a big one, a 15-second peacock. I have raccoons, I have a huge Spinosaurus, I have huge capybaras, I got plenty to trade for. I'm in the market for a huge Titanic, must be a 15-second peacock. If you have one, comment down below and I'll respond to you. I read all the comments, every single one. Okay, enough preamble. Let's get into this trading tier list. And again, I'm sorry, I'm just reporting the news. These are the pets we're going to be talking about today. If you see any pets in this list and you think another pet should be added, whether it has a useful function and people do actually trade for it, comment down below and let me know what pet you think should be added. I currently have a bunch of pets not included just because they're bulk and we don't really care about them. To start, the golden goose has been relegated way down into the D tier. It has been hatched like crazy, acquired like crazy, and it doesn't have a useful effect. So therefore, it has dropped down into the D tier. It's not much trade value. Now, you can take your golden goose, go into a public server, and people will freak out and offer you whatever. So go ahead and do that. Go and get a dragonfly. Go and get a butterfly. Go and get whatever you can for your golden goose. But the golden goose doesn't have any actual value. Then we move on to the lobster, and the lobster is in the exact same position. Yes, it does provide wonderful, fantastic mutations, and people think that makes it valuable. However, its supply is through the roof. There's a lot of them in circulation, and we can also get those mutations from the events every single Saturday, and we do. We get them from the events every single Saturday. So again, if you have a lobster, go into public servers, offer it up, go get something with actual value because it doesn't have much value right now. It doesn't have much value to the point that bald eagles have more value in trade than both of them because bald eagles are needed. Bald eagles, you need a bunch of them to hatch eggs, especially when you combine them with other major amazing meta pets. With those meta pets, you get 4, 5, 6, 7 of these bald eagles and you're hatching eggs really quick. They have a function, a useful function, unlike the other two. So they're weirdly kind of valuable. Ascended pets are, okay, so I'm about to get into my new rejigging of the SS and S tiers. You're going to see more pets in the S tier than normal. That's not because anything has gone up in value. It's because I've changed where they belong in the tiers. For example, previously only 2 pets were in the S tier, and that was the Disco Bee and the Raccoon because they were close in value. But then the value started to split between them. So then I had to redo my tiers. So now you're going to see weird new tiers. It doesn't mean anything's gone up in value. It just means that the tiers have changed. So Ascended are S tier pets. They're in the same tier as many other pets. For example, they're in the same tier as the butterfly, though I value the butterfly more than the Ascended pet. However, Ascended pets are difficult to trade. Be very, very careful when you are trading for an Ascended pet because it takes a certain kind of person to want an Ascended pet. So because of that, they do have value because they're so rare, and they do have value because they provide the only way to get the Dawnbound mutation. So people trying to make an amazing Bone Blossom will want one for the Dawnbound mutation. But when they're done with the Dawnbound mutation, they just trade it away again because they're done with it. So Ascended pets, be careful when trading for them because they're hard to trade away. But if you do manage to mutate one into Ascended, hey, that's a free win. Go ahead and take the time it takes to trade it away. Now, if we're strictly going off of internet values, the butterfly is worth, quotations, less than an Ascended pet. However, I find the butterfly infinitely easier to trade and trade away than an Ascended pet. So I will put them in order of their internet values, but know when you're actually watching the video and not skipping to the end that the butterfly, I think, is much more valuable to have because you can trade it away much easier. Common huges are worth a butterfly, right? They're in that range value-wise. So if you have a common lab, a huge bunny, a huge, I don't know, anything that's kind of common, they're worth roughly a butterfly in trade value. People will lie to you. People will try and scam you, obviously. And huge trading can be tricky. I find that trading huges can be almost as difficult as trading Ascend, especially these random common huges. It's hard to get value for them sometimes. There was a time where I had multiple common huges and I was trying to trade for a useful huge and no one was taking me up on the offer. So common huges are hard to trade. They're not as easy as a butterfly. They're not as liquid as a butterfly, but they're around that value. The number of people who ask me, yo, what's a chicken zombie worth? We got more chicken zombies. More chicken zombies came into the game. What's a chicken zombie worth? Oh yeah, it got punched. The chicken zombie got punched. It's down there now. Everybody who managed to stay on the game after the event this past Saturday also received the chicken zombie because Channel wanted to test whether it worked. So more chicken zombies have flooded the market. It has definitely gone down in value. The blood hedgehog, this is so weird. The blood hedgehog is above those 2 divine pets in value, and it is so strange. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I'm completely wrong. The blood hedgehog's actually up here. Again, we're just talking about this. You can't hatch blood hedgehogs anymore. You can't acquire more. There's a limited number of them, and anybody who wants to do the blood hedgehog method to make huge prickly plants, like the huge Princess the Princess Thorn, because of that, you want 8 of them. So they're just getting gobbled up, and people are just eating them up in the market, and they keep 8 of them in their back pocket on an alt just in case they want to use them. There's limited numbers. They're no longer coming into the market worth more than the lobster and the golden goose. It's weird, but that's what the internet says. Those are the internet values. Am I saying that you could trade your blood hedgehog for a lobster in a public server 1-for-1? No, the lobby guy who thinks his lobster's worth more is going to turn you down. But in terms of internet value, like, it's weird. Yeah. Speaking about internet value, Queen Bee. Is Queen Bee worth less than a chicken zombie? Wow, they're close. Queen Bee and chicken zombie are darn close. Queen Bee is barely worth more than the chicken zombie right now. It is what it is. People don't want the Queen Bee. I'll give you an example. So I needed to do my plant achievements, right? And I needed to make some plants rainbow. So I had my 1 butterfly. I only own the 1. I can't remember why. So I had the 1 butterfly. I put it in my garden. I'm like, okay, how can I make this go faster? I looked around. I'm like, man, I don't own any mimics right now. I do have a Queen Bee. So I threw the Queen Bee in there. And I looked. I'm like, so instead of a 25-minute butterfly cooldown, it's now a 20-minute Queen Bee cooldown. If that Queen Bee was a mimic, I would have 2 butterflies. But instead, I only had a slightly faster butterfly. See what's going on here? The Queen Bee's ability just isn't that good anymore. So instead of a decrease in the butterfly's cooldown by 5 minutes, I could have had a mimic instead and then had 2 butterflies in 25 minutes. I would have rather had 2 butterfly effects in 25 than a single 20-minute. Yeah, it just doesn't work. Queen Bee's not that good, guys, and it's unfortunate. Then we have the Dragonfly, who is in the middle of our tier, roughly in the B tier. It's still fairly valuable. Luckily, they stopped hatching them like crazy. All the methods I described in the beginning of this video about hatching eggs like crazy have been nerfed and stopped and frozen. As such, I don't see pets' values dropping dramatically anymore. They might drop slowly just because more and more people might want to trade them away or sell them or whatever. But they've stopped dropping dramatically. Dragonfly is still very useful, especially with some of the pet achievements. I think one of the pet achievements was making things gold. It was a massive number, so people might want multiple dragonflies to do that. So dragonflies is still pretty useful and still pretty valuable in trade. I mean, the dragonfly is still a top 10 pet looking at my list. So yeah, it's still plenty valuable. The panda, why won't this thing go down? I don't know what's going on. It's still there. And every time I look, I'm like, it's gotta go down by now. It's gotta go down by now. People need to start undercutting each other. Nope, not happening. It's still right where it is. I don't know what's going on. Now, I don't know if any are moving. I don't know if anyone's trading it. I don't know if anyone's doing anything with it, but it's still there. So yeah, I don't know about the panda. I don't think it's an A tier pet. I really don't. Even though it's rare, I really don't. But that's what the numbers say for now. So I leave it there until something changes. I'm just waiting for it to change. And it hasn't. It's strange. The Spriggan's finally come down. It's a C tier pet. It's kind of rare, but the event's still going, right? So every time we reset the shop to get more chests and to get more packs and such, you're going to see more Spriggans pop up. So as of now, the Spriggan is here. It was higher up last week. It's down in the C tier now. It'll probably be a D tier pet by the end of the event, if I had to guess. The Fennec Fox refuses to die. Refuses. Is that where it is? Right around there? Double checking my list. Yeah, it's right around there. The Fennec Fox refuses to die. It's worth, though. It's worth 25% more than the butterfly, right? It's still worth less than an Ascended, though we talked about the Ascended previously. Don't worry about that. The Fennec Fox is worth about 25% more than the butterfly right now. It still has trade value, especially in public servers. I don't know why. I hate that pet. I think it's stupid and useless and ugly, but I'm not here to put my own bias on this. I'll mention my bias to you, but the list is what the list is based off of values. Everybody's been wondering, will the Mimic go up now that the Paradise Egg is no longer in the shops? And as of now, no, it has not gone up. It is still exactly where it belongs currently, right beside the Dragonfly. They're basically interchangeable in terms of value. Will it go up in the future? Maybe. Yes. No. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But no more being hatched. So if the demand goes up and the supply stays the same, you can guess what's going to happen to the price. Will the demand go up? I don't know. It's a great question. We'll have to wait and see on that one. Now, the French fry ferret. Everyone be very, very careful with this pet because there's two different kind of situations with the pet. First situation, if you have a random old French fry ferret that's kind of small, it has no value. It's kind of useless. However, there are people who want bigger French fry ferrets. We're talking 2 kilograms plus, 2.1 kilograms plus, because they want those big French fry ferrets to turn into rainbow to be used with things like the Titan Peacock to do crazy things. But if they're not heavy, they don't have much value. If they're heavier, they might have some value. But right now, your average everyday French fry ferret is practically useless. People don't use them. They're not great for leveling up pets unless they're under specific situations. The T-Rex. The T-Rex makes me sad. This is one of those pets that suffered from the exploits we talked about earlier, making lots and lots of eggs and hatching things like crazy fast. The T-Rex is no longer closely tied to the Mimic and the Dragonfly. They used to be a trio tied together in value. The T-Rex, by its lonesome, is down in the C tier just by the blood hedgehog. And people are going to lose their minds when they skip over everything, look at the end and go, why is a T-Rex worth a blood hedgehog? You mean to tell me I can only get one blood hedgehog for a T-Rex? Yes. Using the values on the internet. Yes, that is true. And it's sad. And I hate it because the T-Rex is amazing. You can take the T-Rex into a public server again, and people are like, oh my God, I love you, T-Rex. Here's a butterfly. You'll get that. But in terms of actual value, T-Rexes have been farmed into the dirt. And it's really unfortunate because it's easily one of the coolest pets in the whole game. It's a T-Rex. Come on. Ostriches. Useless. Used to be useful when pet mutations first came out. But now people would rather use koi or brontosauruses when hatching, preferably the koi, because they really want to get more eggs. Or brontosauruses if you're like hoping for that huge pet that becomes extra huge. You know what I mean? So ostrich method, no longer useful. Rare huges, I never know how to categorize this, right? It's just so hard to categorize. So I mentioned that common huges are worth a butterfly. Rare huges can be worth the Fennec Fox Ascended space. But what classifies as a rare huge? This is where the huge market gets murky. There's 120 huges out there. 120 different huges. So what is a common huge? What is a rare huge? I can't tell you that difference. All I can tell you is that there is a difference. I can tell you for a fact, a common bunny is worth like maybe a dragonfly, right? Maybe a butterfly. I know some huges go for more than that. So if you have a huge and you want to know what it goes for, go do your own research. Jump into a Discord server. Here's what you really do. You jump into a Discord server. Here's my advanced tip. Everyone pay attention. Pay attention. Do not skip this part. You want to know what your thing's worth? Oh, I should put this in the beginning of the video or the end of the video or someone's actually gonna notice it. If you're here in the middle of the video, here's a useful tip for you. If you really want to know what you have is worth, let's say you have a rainbow hatched blah, 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 or you have a huge blah, 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 or whatever. Go to the official Discord server or any trading Discord server. Go to the search function. Look for people selling the pet that you have and offer them stuff for fake. Fake offer them stuff. Let's say you have a rainbow hatched hot dog. Go and search for rainbow hatched hot dog in the Discord server. Find people who have rainbow hatched hot dogs and tie them up. Hi, I'll offer you a butterfly for a rainbow hatched hot dog. They're going to turn you down. And then you go, okay, I'll offer you a raccoon. And maybe they turn you down. And you go, okay, what if I offer you 2 raccoons? And you keep offering the guy until he accepts. And then you go, sorry, I changed my mind. And you walk away. And you go do that to a second person. And you go do that to a third person. And then you start to see where people are willing to let go of the pet you have for your trades. And you'll get an idea of like, okay, my pet's actually worth this. Because this person accepted 2 raccoons. And this person accepted 1 raccoon and a butterfly. And this person has accepted 2 raccoons and a butterfly. And you start to get a feel for what your thing that you have is worth. Super useful tip and information instead of, I don't know, just guessing. Sorry, small detour. Moving on. Mooncats, they're useful, but they're not that useful anymore. I don't know if they stack. I don't know if they work. There's lots of rumors around them being bugs. The cooked owl is also down here in value. It hasn't gone up, and there's no reason for it to go up. Blood owls are useful. They're one of the more casual ways of leveling up pets, so they are useful. Brontosauruses. This is another one of those difficult situations. If you have an average size brontosaurus, 1.6 kilograms, 1.8 kilograms, no one's going to care. If you have a 2.1, a 2.2 kilogram brontosaurus, people might be interested because it's more, the heavier it is, the better its effect. And they're trying to get to that 30% cap with as few brontosauruses as possible. So it really depends on the size and weight of your brontosaurus. But overall, they're D-tier pets. The same thing with the seal. For example, I've been trying to find heavy seals, 2 kilograms plus, and it's difficult. But any common seal is just down here in the common category. But if you can manage to have, if you hatch a 2+ kilogram seal, people will be interested. If you hatch a 2+ kilogram seal and you make it rainbow, people will be very interested, right? Oh, great time to talk about pet mutations. Guys, everyone always asks me, how do I rank pet mutation? It's simple. If you haven't ascended, it's obviously what it's worth. If you have rainbow on your pet, it'll be worth more than what your pet is, especially if it has a very desirable effect. For example, rainbow brontosaurus, rainbow French fry ferret, rainbow seal, rainbow blood owl. These guys are greatly affected by the rainbow. I bet your rainbow bald eagle slaps as well, right? Aside from that, all the other mutations are useless and they add 0 value. Even the mutations that you can no longer get like corrupt, nobody actually cares. So rainbow on a pet with a useful ability, ascended, nothing else matters. The Disco Bee is now down here with kind of all these other things. I'm gonna explain why. So if you skip to the end of the video and you just saw this S tier ranking, you're gonna be confused. But if you're here listening, you're gonna understand. The Disco Bee is worth a rare huge. The Disco Bee is about 20% more than your random ascended pet. The Disco Bee is about 40% more than a fennec fox. And you need 2 butterflies to get a Disco Bee. That's kind of where the relationship goes right now. Actually, yeah, 2 butterflies for a Disco Bee is almost right on the dot. And that's why the Disco Bee is now in this tier, separated from the raccoon. The raccoon's obviously going to be up in the SS tier now because there is such a big gap between them that I needed to explain that. Age 75 pets, useless, worthless, have no value. Stop trying to age up pets to trade them. Unless you know somebody who needs them for their slots, then go for it. But ultimately, not much useful. The Spinosaurus somehow didn't get slapped as hard as the T-Rex. I think it's just because there's just fewer of the primal eggs to go around and fewer of the primal pets to go around. But yeah, when all the mass hatching didn't hit the Spinosaurus as hard. It's really strange. For context, the Spinosaurus is 40% cheaper than the butterfly. And you basically need 2 Spinosaurus to get to a fennec fox. It's weird. The whole market's weird. Meta huges, SS tier. I don't have to talk about it. I have to explain it. Now, again, as I mentioned earlier in the video, I'm in the market personally for a Titanic 15-second peacock, and I am willing to throw multiple raccoons, multiple huge capybaras. I got lots of things to trade. So I'm in the market for one. So if you have a meta huge, you know what that is. It's a huge rainbow sea turtle. It's a huge rainbow peacock. It's on and on and on. There's so many of them. So if you know you have one, you know you have one, and go and do the research for their values. Koi, desirable, has trade value. Kois and seals go hand in hand. Kois are awesome. Raccoons, we're here. We're finally here. The raccoon is now a meta huge, or not a meta huge. Raccoon's an SS tier. There's too much of a difference between the raccoon and the disco bee now. The gap's too big. The raccoon has gone down a little bit. Again, gone down a little bit, but only a little bit. I think people are starting to realize or starting to change. I've been hunting for certain meta huges, and people are a little less interested in the raccoon and a little more interested in the kits as currency. So there was an era where raccoons were definitely currency. People are getting really spooked, really spooked by the dupe raccoon problem, right? For example, I have 6 raccoons stuck in my inventory because they're duped. They weren't duped when they were sent to me, or they were duped when they were sent to me, but they didn't get frozen until they reached me. Now, maybe all the dupes are frozen in accounts now. I don't know if people are still trading away duped pets and getting those duped pets stuck in other people's inventories. I don't know if that's still possible. What I do know is that personally, I have a bunch of raccoons. A bunch of them are not duped and tradable. I tested by trying to trade with my alt, and I found the 6 that are duped, and I favorited them, so I know not to try and trade them away. So I do have duped ones in my inventory. Raccoons are still very valuable. They're very liquid. They're easy to move and easy to trade. There is pretty much 2 raccoons. I think the price is like 2 raccoons and a dragonfly for a kitsune is pretty much dead on the money. Corrupted kitsune is pretty much a D tier pet in terms of actual internet value. You know it, I know it, everybody knows it. But as always, you can pick it up, put it over your head, go into a public server, and people will offer you T-Rexes and dragonflies and things like that for your corrupted kitsune. So if you're tired of having that relatively useless, cool-looking pet in your inventory, go acquire something more useful. Try and aim for a T-Rex, a mimic, a dragonfly, a Spino, you know, that kind of stuff. You get a butterfly, that's awesome. Now these new pets. And whenever I talk about new pets on Sunday morning, because it is Sunday morning, whenever I talk about new pets, I always give you this disclaimer. These prices are subject to change, and subject to change even hours from watching this video. The moment I publish the video, they might be wrong. That's how volatile it is. But I always make this video Saturday morning because people want to know what these things are worth as of the making of the video. Let's start with the Griffin, because the Griffin is the current new divine pet. The Griffin, as of right now, is worth, it's high in the B tier. It's top of B tier. It's about 40% more than a Dragonfly right now. That is its current value. And that value is going to plummet. Because I'm in the Dawn Discord server, and people are always being like, oh, I hatched one. I got one from a chest. Oh, I got 2. It's going down. And it's going down hard. The Griffin doesn't even have a useful effect to try and like keep up its demand. So its demand is going to plummet and its supply is going to increase. It's going to be a D tier pet and probably quick. If you have a Griffin, feel free to trade it away. Now, these next 4 pets were the ones we received from the events. So there's a limited supply. There's no more coming into the market. The supply is supply. Here are their values right now. The Lemon Lion doesn't seem to be too popular. It seems to be down in the D tier. Doesn't seem to have a lot of value. My bad. That's actually in the C tier looking at these values here. The Apple Gazelle is also roughly equal value to these. These are pretty much interchangeable right now for obvious reasons. They just came out. This is a weird one. This is a really weird one. But the Peach Wasp, I don't know why. I don't know why. Is here. This is going to change. This doesn't make sense. Why would the Peach Wasp be there? No. That's what it says, but that's not going to last. Don't. I shouldn't put it there. I should. I can't make it. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. That's what it shows on the internet. It's going to be this. It should be this, but I'm putting it there. I am overriding it. Override. The Peach Wasp doesn't have an effect that's better than the other 3. It's just, no, it's going there. It's going there. However, the one thing I do agree with, the green bean being worth more than those 3. People are loving the green bean. They're loving its ability to make a huge fruit. So it's a little bit interesting. People are looking for methods with the green bean, trying to figure it out. This is my trading tier list. If you skipped the whole video and you're looking at it and going, why is the T-Rex so low? What is going on with this tier list? Why is the goose down there? Why is the butterfly in the same tier as the disco bee? Well, you skipped all the explanation, so you don't know what's going on. So this is my tier list. As of the making of this video, subject to change, as always. These are the values on the internet, not necessarily what I think you can get for them in trades in public servers. Hopefully you found value in this video. If you did, go ahead and subscribe. Become part of the first 200K on the channel. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching.